Doan had classes for adult learners on the Lincoln campus and online. So I earned my bachelor's degree, and 5 months later, I landed my dream job. I decided to continue my education, and now I'm working on my MBA at Doan. For me, the Doan experience has been life-changing.
If you're in Seward or Milford, listen up. Select Plumbing is now servicing your area with no trip charges from Lincoln. Select Plumbing works on a variety of issues for your home and business, including general plumbing, water heaters, faucet and fixture repair, underground sewer and water repairs, backflow testing, and more. Keep your property free from leaks and other issues. Call today for a free estimate, 402-560-6197. It's not just Lincoln, Waverly, and the surrounding area anymore. It's also Seward and Milford with no trip charges. Contact Select Plumbing to inquire at 402-560-6197. Working at Continental in Lincoln isn't a job, it's a career. And right now, they've raised wages again, and they're hiring for production operators at $24.62 per hour, which grows to $28.97 per hour within 3 years. Skilled trade positions now start at $33.36 per hour, with opportunities to make more based on certifications. Continental also has salary jobs available and great benefits, plus medical and prescription costs at very low premiums. Dental, vision, and life insurance are offered at no premium cost to the associates, with increased bonuses and vacation for new hires. To learn more or apply, go to continentaljobs.com with keyword Lincoln. Come work at Continental today.
This is the Happy Hour.
You guys going to happy hour?
Coming at you live from the heart of Lincoln, America.
Yeah, I'll come for a couple.
Here are your hosts, Nick Sainert.
I want to know what it's like to commit a crime without having to spend time in jail.
And Enrique Alvarez Clary.
C is for chunk.
Brought to you by Empire Fence and Netting on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Welcome in. Happy Wednesday. Happy Omaha Supernovas premiere day, if you will, as they get ready. We're just a little under 6 hours away from first serve against the Atlanta Vibe tonight. So you can hear that all here on the Supernovas radio network, right here on 93.7 The Ticket. We are getting ready for a loaded show today. We have a lot of stuff coming up. 2 guests, 3 segments. Here we go. Let's go ahead and just start right off the bat. Hello, Rico.
Hello.
How's the day?
Fantastic. Super excited.
All right.
Things are happening.
Let's go ahead and bring her in.
Let's get it going.
We're going to be joined by Emily Ehman of the Big Ten Network, also various other volleyball outlets, if you will. She's going to be in Omaha, a place where she is very familiar with. She joins us on the Allo VIP line. Emily, we know you're on a time crunch. We appreciate you joining us. How's life treating you less than 6 hours from first serve?
Oh, I'm so excited to be here. I mean, I know we were chatting before this, and, Omaha really does volleyball right, and really the whole state of Nebraska does. So, I mean, I couldn't be more excited to be here for opening day for Pro Volleyball Federation, and honestly, what should be an insane atmosphere.
So, Emily, let's just talk about, we've had the CEO of the Professional Volleyball Federation on various shows. We've talked to Diane Mendenhall, who is the GM for the Supernovas. Obviously, we're learning about their roster, and we're going to continue to do so. From your perspective as a player, what does it mean to have a professional league in the United States?
Yeah, it's huge. And, I think what people, also maybe aren't thinking about is, we've had one for the last 3 years with Athletes Unlimited, but it hasn't been a sustainable way for most of these professional volleyball players to actually make a living year-round playing the sport in the United States, because Athletes Unlimited was only about, 6 to 8 weeks long during the fall. Pro Volleyball Federation is a way for these players to potentially, if they want to play AU, great, but they can stay home, have friends and family watch, not have to play overseas in environments that maybe aren't conducive for, athletically and just mentally being their best. A lot of these players that we watch, the stars in college on these teams, normally if they wanted to play professionally, they would have to be, shipped off to Italy or Turkey or Japan to play in some of these leagues where, they might be on a team where no one even speaks English, and they're really on their own out there. They might have one player from the States with them, just with the rules of not allowing too many international players on each team. So for the players that have come home or maybe have been playing at home in college for the last 2 years. It's incredible for them to be able to play at home in front of friends and family, you know, on networks where other people in the States can watch them and really keep up with their careers. It's life-changing for these athletes.
You mentioned it being life-changing and having players come back from overseas to play here and in front of their families, not having to take, you know, plane rides across oceans to go watch their daughters play volleyball. How amazing is it that the U.S., not only some of the players that they watched in college, you know, the stars in college, but also, again, with that international, you know, player mindset, is having some of the better players or some of the really good players internationally be able to play on these U.S. teams in the Pro Volleyball Federation to, again, grow the game to more higher than it already is.
Oh, it's been so cool. And yeah, of course, not only for these athletes that are from the U.S. having, you know, playing at home, but for international players, like someone like, you know, Betty De La Cruz, who's on the Supernovas team. She is an absolute star. You know, she's been playing professionally for 22 years. And maybe you watched her during Athletes Unlimited, but man, I think people are really going to see what, you know, international volleyball is all about. Each team, you know, has players from overseas that they've brought onto their roster that are so excited to play in the States, because I think they understand now where volleyball is going to go in the States, and they're able to make, you know, a livable wage playing volleyball in the States, whereas some of these pro leagues in the past, they haven't necessarily been able to do. You know, when it boils down to it, I think when you travel overseas, people always are talking about the American dream and, you know, starting something new and being really excited to do that. And I think a lot of these international stars are realizing that, you know, that can apply to volleyball too, in a sport where, you know, normally for other countries, it's so massive. You know, it's one of the top sports internationally. And I think people are realizing that it can be really big in the States. And what we've seen for the last few years, especially, is it's only getting bigger.
I mean, what are the odds that this season Nebraska, the University of Nebraska, holds the Volleyball Day in Nebraska in Memorial Stadium and attracts, you know, over 90,000 fans? You know, there were multiple records for attendance and TV records falling for volleyball watchers, and all of this coincides with the Pro Volleyball Federation launching today.
Yeah, you know, I think it's been a culmination of a few things. And, you know, thinking back to even 10 years ago when there's been a really big push at the top of some of these networks to get more volleyball on TV so that, you know, players and even young players can aspire to play on these teams where they can be treated as stars. I think people, especially that are from Nebraska, that have followed, you know, the Huskers over the last 20 years or so, understand how cool volleyball is, and, you know, people look up to them. But now I think people outside of Nebraska and outside of these volleyball hubs are really understanding where the sport can go. So there's been a massive push, you know, from the executive level at some of these TV networks, which has garnered, you know, more eyeballs on the sport, more high school players playing than ever before. And that's trickling up into the club world, and then of course into college athletics and college volleyball as well. So I think it's been growing over the last 10 years or so. And I think what really started this boom was the U.S. Olympic team winning a gold medal, you know, at the last Olympics in Tokyo. I think that was huge to get even more eyeballs on it, to say, hey, we are a volleyball hub, not just, you know, at the college level, but really in the world. You know, we have some of the best players. We develop them throughout the years. And I think that really sparked growth of the sport, that now we're seeing, you know, more games on TV than ever before, and the start of some of these pro leagues, because they understand that the talent is there.
Emily, just a couple more before we go ahead and let you go. We're speaking to Emily Ehman. She's going to be on the call tonight for the Supernovas and the Atlanta Vibe on Stadium. Now, Emily, just a couple days ago, the Pro Volleyball Federation released the preseason predictions for how the season would end up, and the Supernovas predicted to finish first, while the Atlanta Vibe predicted to finish right behind them at second. We know a little bit about the Supernovas, but what can you tell us more just about tonight's matchup between, obviously, the Supernovas and the Atlanta Vibe?
Yeah, I think it's going to be really exciting because these are two of the top teams in the league. It's going to be so fun to watch them go head to head. You know, of course, the Supernovas were picked to finish potentially first at the end of the season in May, but the Vibe are right behind them with just one less vote. Both of these rosters are absolutely stacked, which is going to make this matchup so fun. There's some pin hitters, especially that, you know, you got to keep your eye on tonight. You have Betty De La Cruz for the Omaha Supernovas, who is a power hitter. She's one of the best in the entire world. She's so much fun to watch. Then for Atlanta, you have a player like Leah Edmond, who's only been playing professionally for about 3 years now, but was a star at Kentucky a few years back. She's definitely someone that I would keep my eye on as well. But it's going to be a big slugfest up front. Both of these teams have kind of different ways in which they go about their offenses, of course, defensively as well. But all I know is it's going to be a slugfest up front. And you have two of the best liberos that are going to go head-to-head with Morgan Hens, who's on that national team. And then you also have Kendall White for Omaha, which is going to be so much fun.
Emily, when you make the jump from college volleyball to professional volleyball, when it's somebody obviously in your shoes that is around it so much more than just the average person, there's going to be a lot of people in the CHI Health Center tonight that aren't accustomed to professional volleyball. Talk about the speed of the game. What is so dramatically different between that fans might see from the professional volleyball side that maybe watching Nebraska versus even like a Wisconsin or Nebraska, Minnesota on a weekend? What's the difference in the speed of the game?
Oh, it's going to be so fun. I think people are really in for a treat, especially if you've really only watched college volleyball. Maybe some people have dipped their toes into watching VNLs, which happens every summer, and might watch, their country's national team. But it's fun. I think one thing to notice is it gets a lot more about strategy, and teams are a lot more, they're able to run schemes offensively and can really break down plays. They don't make as many errors because these players have a higher volleyball IQ. Of course, some of them have been playing for 20 plus years professionally, but it's just a really high level of volleyball that, yes, sometimes that plays out in a faster offense. I think one thing to really look out for is the back row attack. Some teams use it pretty well, and we're seeing it a lot more at the college game. But that's something that professionally you have to have in your arsenal if you're playing. And as a pin hitter, you have to be able to play all the way around because there aren't as many subs. In normal international volleyball, they only have 6 subs. Pro Volleyball Federation is allowing 8 compared to the college game where you have 15. So a lot of these pin hitters don't even have to play back row most of the time. It can be subbed out for a defensive specialist. But these are players that have to play all the way around, and that allows for another attack coming out of the back row pretty much at all times. And that's a really fun thing to watch when you have these quick tempo sets going and a lot of back row action as well.
Emily, just a quick question. With the Pro Volleyball Federation launching and having these U.S. teams, has there any thought crossed your mind about coming out of retirement?
Well, look, I sat the bench for quite a few number of years. So, no, I love being on this side of it. I just get to talk about it.
All right, Emily. Hey, we appreciate you fitting us into your busy schedule. I know we're all going to enjoy tonight at the CHI Health Center a tremendous amount. So we appreciate you taking a few minutes of your time, and we'll see you later tonight.
Yeah, I can't wait to see you guys. Thanks for having me.
There she is. Emily Ehman obviously, Husker fans will know her from the Big Ten Network. She's involved in a various of other outlets.
She's
everywhere when it comes to volleyball. So we appreciate Emily for taking some time and chatting with us ahead of Supernovas and Vibe tonight. That's one thing I knew, that the Omaha Supernovas were predicted to finish first, right, in May. Did not realize up until this morning that the Vibe were right behind them.
Yep.
This is going to be, this is like this is a preseason 1v2.
This is exactly what you want if you're the Pro Volleyball Federation,
absolutely.
Is getting the 2 best teams predicted, the 2 best teams in your federation together for the first match to kick things off, to show everybody, look, these are the 2 best that we've got. You can just watch this every week and get your volleyball fix.
Also, and that's the thing, and nobody better to tell us about it than obviously Renee Saunders, who's going to be on the call with DP tonight. Emily, who once again, thanks to her for joining our show for just 10 to 15 minutes there, because she's got places to be, people to see.
Yeah,
so
she's kind of important.
There you go. As always, didn't go through the whole spiel before the show, but I'll do it now. 402-464-5685, the Honda of Lincoln hotline and the Starter Heyman text line are open for you guys the entire show today, as well as Starter Heyman Jewelers live video stream, Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, and Allo Channel 951. All avenues for you guys to get in touch with the show. In order for us to get to Emily rather quickly, we had to switch around some commercials. So let's go ahead and take an early timeout. Rico, are you out of here?
Yeah, I got
Rico's
some
outta
stuff
here
to take care of, and then go pick up the boss man and head on down to Omaha.
There you go. So
up to Omaha.
Austin,
Is it down or up?
Up.
Okay.
Austin Orman's going to join me. We're going to break down Husker basketball and their big victory last night. And 1:30, joined by Steve Marik of Inside Nebraska, coming up in just a few minutes. It's a loaded show. It's a Wednesday. Appreciate you guys hanging out with us. Feel free to chime in, 402-464-5685. And we'll be right back. Nick Stainer, Austin Orman with you. Thanks to Rico for hanging out for 15 minutes right here on the Happy Hour.
Follow Nick and Enrique on Twitter at Nick_Sainert and at Radio Rico AC. More of Happy Hour is next on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
People always ask, what are Jake and Sip like when they're off the air? Well, the answer probably won't surprise you.
Hey, Jake, your Honda's looking a little dirty.
Says the guy whose license plate is barely visible.
I mean, do you even care about that thing anymore?
It gets a little uncomfortable. Now, that's when I jump in.
Hey, whoa. Mark, did you get a new car?
Nope, just took my car down to Nebraska Auto Detail. Joe and the staff made the outside and the inside look amazing. Maybe you guys need to go.
Okay, wise guy.
Settle down, Jake.
Book your appointment today at NebraskaAutoDetail.com.
Double Eagle Golf is your escape from the bone-chilling cold outside and a reason to keep your clubs out year-round. Book a bay with some friends for a weekend or come by for golf and happy hour on a weekday. Spring leagues begin in February. Get signed up today. That's all at Double Eagle Golf inside the Kinetic Sports Complex at West O Street. Online at doubleeagle.golf.
At Southeast Community College, community is our middle name. Our continuing education classes offer personal interest, traffic safety and licensing, online learning, and adult education classes across Southeast Nebraska, or online in your own home. Learn pottery or floral design, take a computer course, learn Spanish, how to start writing a book, or Air Fryer 101. See the full schedule of continuing education classes online at southeast.edu/continuing. SCC, your path to possible.
Landmark Implement, your local John Deere dealer, is hosting their annual sprayer clinic at the Buffalo County Fairgrounds in Kearney, Nebraska, January 31st through February 1st. Landmark Sprayer Clinic offers expansive equipment and technology training on John Deere and Hagie sprayers. Learn about the newest technology, machine maintenance, spray tip selection, exact apply sprayers, and more. Free dicamba certification will be available. Join Landmark at their sprayer clinic January 31st and February 1st in Kearney. Find more information at landmarkimp.com/events.
Integrated Life Choices has been inspiring opportunities for individuals with disabilities for more than 15 years in Lincoln and across Nebraska by offering a number of services. From group homes to independent living resources and job training, you'll find the support that allows people to live fulfilling lives. They're also hiring. If you're looking for a rewarding career supporting people with developmental disabilities, you can check out open positions along with learning more about services at ilc.net. Integrated Life Choices.
A team succeeds when they work together. Banking's no different. At UBT, we're in your corner for every financial move you want to make. Your money's backed by a roster of experts who put in the work to know you and your community. So whether you're opening a savings account, buying a home, or planning your future, you always know who to turn to. Working together toward your financial goals. That's a win in our playbook. Union Bank and Trust. Equal housing lender, member FDIC.
At Southeast Community College, community is our middle name. Our continuing education classes offer personal interest, traffic safety and licensing, online learning, and adult education classes across Southeast Nebraska, or online in your own home. Learn pottery or floral design, take a computer course, learn Spanish, how to start writing a book, or Air Fryer 101. See the full schedule of continuing education classes online at southeast.edu/continuing. SCC, your path to possible.
Working at Continental in Lincoln isn't a job, it's a career. And right now, they've raised wages again, and they're hiring for production operators at $24.62 per hour, which grows to $28.97 per hour within 3 years. Skilled trade positions now start at $33.36 per hour, with opportunities to make more based on certifications. Continental also has salary jobs available and great benefits, plus medical and prescription costs at very low premiums. Dental, vision, and life insurance are offered at no premium cost to the associates, with increased bonuses and vacation for new hires. To learn more or apply, go to continentaljobs.com with keyword Lincoln. Come work at Continental today.
93.7 The Ticket, Fox, KFXL weather. Brought to you by Bryant Air Conditioning, Heating, Electrical, and Plumbing.
Your Lincoln forecast for today, a chance of freezing rain and freezing drizzle with more fog and freezing fog. We'll see a high around 35. Tonight, a slight chance of freezing drizzle and more fog with the low around 33. And tomorrow, a slight chance of freezing rain, more freezing drizzle with the high of around 36. I'm meteorologist Kyle Klecker for 93.7 Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Hi, Sean Callahan here for Coppell Chevrolet GMC, and we'd like to say thank you for a record-setting 2023. So let's start off 2024 with the bang. They've got huge trade-in bonuses and finance bonusing happening right now on our new inventory at Coppell. Get up to $8,500 off select new models at Coppell. So if you're shopping for a new GM product, go to our website at coppellcars.com. You won't believe the discounts. Make that short money-saving drive down 144th Street. You'll be glad you did. Must have trade and finance with roof credit. Stock number G2076684.
Alexa, play 93.7 The Ticket.
Okay, playing 93.7 The Ticket.
Alexa, turn down the lights.
Dimming the lights.
Alexa, order a pizza. The big one. All the toppings.
Are you sure that's a good idea?
Alexa.
That's a lot of pizza for just one man.
Alexa, just do it. Stop judging me, just do it.
As you wish.
Thanks, Alexa. You're my best friend.
I'm Chris Jakimick. I served in the United States Air Force and I deployed 3 times. So in 2017, I was serving as an Air Force First Sergeant. Our motto in that role is my job is people, everyone is my business. But unfortunately in that year, I would lose my own brother, Lance Corporal Adam Jakimick, to suicide. The majority of veteran suicides are from guns. I store my weapons securely, not only for myself, but for my family. Store all your guns securely. Help stop suicide. My service never stops.
Brought to you by End Family Fire and the Ad Council.
Make plans to stop by the Rock Creek Renegades Gun Show this Friday through Sunday at the Sandhills Global Event Center. The show will feature guns, ammo, and supplies for shooting enthusiasts. Admission is $8 per person with concessions available. Hours are 5 to 8 p.m. on Friday, 9 to 5 on Saturday, and 9 to 3 on Sunday. Located in the Currency Pavilion. It's the Rock Creek Renegades Gun Show from January 26th to the 28th at the Sandhills Global Event Center at 84th and Havelock.
How was your drive to school?
Let me tell you, I had to get my iced coffee first. I just can't seem to put it down. My favorite rapper just announced a tour. My phone was buzzing like crazy. I'm so excited. I had to text all my friends right then to talk about it. Then someone started calling me and...
Let's try that again.
I turned my phone off right away. I never drive distracted.
Visit StopTextStopWrecks.org. A message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, and the Ad Council.
Okay, it's time to sell the house. How do we even begin to choose from the hundreds of realtors in town?
Easy. We make a pros list.
You mean a pros and cons list?
No, just a pros list. We need someone with pro photography to showcase the house in the best possible way, pro marketing to make sure we get maximum exposure, pro negotiations so we know we get the best price.
This is one of those times where you already know the right answer, isn't it?
You know it is. Ben Bleicher and Professional Realty Group.
Contact Ben Bleicher and the team at Professional Realty Group of Berkshire Hathaway's Home Services Ambassador. Online at prg-ne.com.
My dream was to work in commercial banking, but it required a college degree and I didn't have one. I found out that Doane had classes for adult learners on the Lincoln campus and online. So I earned my bachelor's degree, and 5 months later, I landed my dream job. I decided to continue my education, and now I'm working on my MBA at Doane. For me, the Doane experience has been life-changing.
It's Pro Time Nebraska. The Omaha Supernovas, your Major League Volleyball team, is playing in the first ever Pro Volleyball Federation match on January 24th against the Atlanta Vibe at the CHI Health Center. Be a part of history and visit supernovas.com to secure your single match tickets today.
You're listening to the Happy Hour with Nick Sainert.
Herbie the Fourth ate his first solid food today, prompting a response of nothing but steaks all week for the Nebraska offensive line.
Then Enrique Alvarez Clary.
No more peaches and carrots for Herbie the Seventh. Baby food be damned.
Sponsored by Empire Fence and Netting on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Once again, thanks to Emily Ehman of just volleyball world, Big Ten Network and Stadium and Fox Sports and ESPN, all the companies for joining us in that first segment. Good stuff from her. Now we're going to be joined, though, by Austin Orman. What's up, Austin?
Hey, Nick.
How's life?
It's going great. I appreciated the opportunity to sit in on your conversation with Emily.
Jeez.
I'm learning a lot about volleyball.
I appreciate that. Thank you. No, volleyball's hype. We got a text during the break asking what I think Notorious B.I.B. sent it in. How many people does the CHI Health Center hold? And do you guys think it'll sell out for pro volleyball? I'll say this right now. It holds, I think, a little over 18. And the lower bowl today has sold out. Woo! So the entire lower bowl is sold out at the CHI Health Center. And they're just working on the upper bowls, as we know. So, will it sell out? Maybe not consistently. I don't know. I don't want to take a shot. This isn't me. I don't know what the response is going to be like. I think they're going to get a good crowd on hand consistently.
If I would be shocked, and I do mean shocked, all caps, underline, exclamation point, if Omaha doesn't lead the league in attendance. Does that mean selling
Absolutely.
out 18,000 per game? Probably not, but I wouldn't be shocked if it's half that, and that's still going to be huge numbers.
Well, and I'll be honest. So the largest crowd, I believe, to see a professional volleyball match is about a little over 16.
Mm-hmm.
It's a little over 16,000. Now, I think there will probably be a game that they're going to that they're probably going to try to beat that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe tonight's the night where they beat that. Who knows? I think there's also something to be said about the exclusiveness of this. And what I mean by that is there's not a game 3 times a week, right? No. It's a hey, once every other week they have a home match. Maybe they get 2 matches in 1 week, but it's not like a very often thing. It's going to be a little over 3 months of a season, right? It goes till the end of May. And I think they're going to be successful and people
end of March, right?
No, end of May.
End of May?
End of May.
I can't do math yet.
So anyway, I think when they're going to be pretty successful in this situation. So I think there's going to be fans that automatically gravitate towards it and say, hey, you know what? Maybe we should spend a Saturday night down in Omaha, make a little date night out of it, head down to the old market, walk over to CHI. So they got some cool places out there. But this is the only time I'm going to say Husker fans go to CHI. Go watch something at CHI. Hey, let's go right back to the Honda of Lincoln hotline, or not, excuse me, the Allo VIP line for this one, where we're joined by Steve Marik of Inside Nebraska. Steve, what's up?
Hey, Nick, I'm doing great.
How's life treating you after Nebraska last night?
Yeah, it was a pretty wild night, wasn't it? PBA always brings it. That was a fun one, especially with Rink going full mast, like everybody's saying.
Well, Steve, let's just dive right in about Rink mast. Rink, yeah. I mean, he puts it on for the city of Lincoln, if you will. 34 points, 6 of 8 shooting threes. And I believe the career high, or the player high for points in Pinnacle Bank Arena, was 41 from Teddy Allen. It looked for a while there that Rink was going to challenge that.
Yeah, so when he went in, when Fred put him back into the game kind of late in the game when it was sort of already decided, I'm like, they're trying for a record here.
Yeah.
And that's fine and everything. I think it'd be awesome. But yeah, when he kind of re-entered the game, when the team I don't think really needed him out there, I'm like, okay, they probably want like a 40 burger at least, but 34 is going to do just fine.
Well, I mean, you're absolutely right. Let's talk first big picture Nebraska basketball here. So you're sitting here 15-5. You have a game against Maryland coming up on Saturday. There's a lot of opportunities going forward for the Huskers to really kind of cement themselves and lock themselves in to, we're going to be able to play in a postseason tournament, most notably the Big Dance.
Yeah, absolutely. And, this is a key stretch, I think, because if you look at the remaining schedule, if you break them into, 4 game sections, there's 3 of those sections left. And, you do your job and you defend the home court against Ohio State, which was in the 40s of the NET rankings, of the net rankings. And so you knock off the Buckeyes in convincing fashion. And then, if you can find a way to get a road win at Maryland, who has lost twice at home to Big Ten conference teams already this season, then you're going to be riding, that 3-game win streak into a really huge game against ranked Wisconsin at home, and then another ranked opponent in Illinois on the road. So, I don't know how those 2 games are going to go, but, it was really crucial, I think, to get past Ohio State. And now Nebraska's sitting in the 40s, number 47, I think, in the NET rankings. So, it was really I can't, describe how big of a win it was for against Ohio State, because, with the challenging schedule upcoming, we all know that the Huskers struggles on the road. Who knows what's going to happen Saturday at 11 a.m. In Maryland. But then they come back home for 2 ranked opponents against Wisconsin and Illinois, and those are going to be tough ones to win. But, it's very good that they beat Ohio State to get off to a good start in this kind of, 4-game 3-section that I have in my head here.
Well, when you look at Nebraska, I think there's a lot of excitement going forward, not just because they're 15-5, maybe not just because Rink Mast was able to drop 30 last night. I think a lot of it is CJ Wilcher. I don't know if there's enough people talking about how talented and how good CJ Wilcher is playing off the bench for Nebraska. He had 16 last night. He looks so much more comfortable, and just obviously he's playing much better than last year, but just overall, he just looks smoother. He looks comfortable, and he's been a huge lift for Nebraska when they need to go to the bench.
I remember, you asking me, who was the player that really needed to step up, and it was a while back, maybe a month ago. And my answer was CJ Wilcher, and I was kind of, riding him hard because I wanted to see more from CJ Wilcher.
Yeah.
And boy, has he kind of shoved that in my face. And, I'll gladly take the L on that one, because CJ Wilcher is coming off the bench, and he is being really, really effective. He's averaging 2 or 3 threes off the bench each game. And, he's putting in, double-digit amount of scoring each game. He's that lightning rod, that offensive spark that Fred needs off the bench. And, he's like you said, Nick, he's looking so comfortable in his current role. And that's really excellent to see, because you're right. He didn't have a great season last year, but you know what? He accepted his role for this year. He's coming off the bench. He's providing a scoring spark, and, he's doing really, really well on it. And he's helping his team win, and he's helping his team do something that, the program hasn't done in a very long time, which is generate excitement and be in the conversation for the NCAA tournament. So, credit to CJ Wilcher for putting his head down, continuing to work, and now he's kind of reaping the benefits of the 16 points against the Buckeyes, 4 threes. Yeah, we'll take that.
Well, it's going to be hard to stop Nebraska just because they are so deep. If CJ's able to continue playing this way, I was talking to various people here. I was talking to Strick last night during the game. Like, Nebraska is just, there's such a value in being deep and not having this dramatic drop off when you go to Sam Hoiberg and CJ Wilcher and even Eli Rice, who put in 14 minutes last night. There's not this dramatic drop off. If not, at times they provide more of a spark than maybe some of the starters do.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's one of the things that kind of caught my ear last night in the post-game press conference with Fred Hoiberg was, his comment about how this is a team where, somebody can have an off night, but it's fine. It doesn't absolutely kill you, because it is a deep team. And, with Sam Hoiberg, I think it was Rink Mast. He was in the plus-minus category. He was plus 28, which obviously makes a lot of sense. But there was another Husker that was also plus 28 in that win over Ohio State, Sam Hoiberg. That kid is just everywhere. The energy, the defense that he brings off the bench is just another kind of boon for this team. It's something that I don't think I really expected to see, at least consistency wise. He showed it a little bit last season, coming off the bench and doing his things in some really, really big moments, but it's carried over into this season, and it's just like really fun to watch that. A walk on, the coach's son, who let's be honest, look at Sam Hoiberg. It doesn't really look like much on a college basketball court, but he plays a lot bigger than he is. And I think that's a testament to the coaching. I think that's a testament to Sam himself for kind of morphing into this, off the bench role player that really helps out his team.
We're speaking to Steve Marik of Inside Nebraska on the Allo VIP line. VIP line brought to you by Allo Fiber, where they understand the importance of exceptional service with a local heart. Now, Steve, you mentioned Rolls and CJ Wilcher. I want to talk about Jamarcus Lawrence here because he's not lighting up the stat sheet. He's not, especially in the points column, I should say. And we've been pretty, open and honest about Jamarcus Lawrence's play and the changes in roles that he's had since last season when he kind of got thrown in there and was a bright spot towards the end of the season last season. But now this year, he's been kind of a staple in that lineup. And you look at his stat line last night, it's not going to jump off the page at you. 4 rebounds, 6 assists. I think he got those 2 points towards the end of the game last night on a layup. But he's figured out, I think, and he's getting better at this true point guard role to where if you can get 6 assists a night, in the Big Ten Conference, I think Nebraska and Fred Hoiberg would take that out of Jamarcus Lawrence, who is in his second year of college, but first year playing this kind of role that he's in.
That's something I think a lot of people are maybe missing is just, how young Jamarcus still is. It's only his second year of college basketball, and he's trying to find, his way in that new on-ball role.
Mm-hmm.
We all saw what he was doing off the ball last year. He looked like a star in the making, but this year the team asked him to do something a little bit different that he is not used to. And of course it's taking time. There's a transition period there. But I think, like you said, Nick, 6 assists against the Buckeyes. And then I think Northwestern, he had 3, and then Rutgers, he had 5. What I really liked about Jamarcus's game against Ohio State was he kept the ball moving. There's really nobody with the ball in their hands faster from point A to point B than Jamarcus Lawrence. When he gets going, I mean, if he's staying under control, it is so fun to watch. And I think it benefits the offense because, when the defense is trying to catch up with him and get a body in front of him, that leaves, other teammates open at the corners, whether it's Keisei Tominaga, Rink Mask, CJ Wilcher, all these different shooters that Nebraska has. But yeah, I mean, we all see the struggles, the kind of slow progress that Jamarcus is making offensively, but what he's providing defensively and offensively in terms of kind of being a ball distributor, I think he's really grown in that area. And Fred gave him a shout out in the post-game press conference last night because a lot of people are, like you said, Nick, are going to look at the 2 points. They're going to look at the 1 of 6 shooting and think, oh man, he played really bad. Well, that's not the case. I don't think he was keeping the ball moving. And when the ball is moving, Nebraska is really good on offense. And when it's not moving, they're not very good. And that's just basketball in general. But with Jamarcus Lawrence at the helm, I think he's getting more comfortable and understanding that he needs to keep moving, keep the ball moving, and not stay stagnant. So, I'm not ready to give up on Jamarcus just yet. I think he might be starting to find a little bit of a groove. Offensively, we'll see how that goes. But, in the other areas, I think he's really helping out the team.
All right, couple more for you, Steve. Steve Marik, Inside Nebraska, joining us. Let's go to another player that had a lot of notoriety and recognition prior to the season, and that's Keisei Tominaga, because Keisei's in this weird situation to where last season he was dropping, 20 a game and 20 or more a game, I should say, and basically was kind of coming onto the scene really last year. Now people know about him. He's not necessarily dropping, 25 a game like he was last year, but that's okay. And I think it's super valuable and kind of really enjoyable to see and know in the back of your mind, like Nebraska doesn't need Keisei to drop 28 to win a game. Like last night, he had 14 minutes, struggled with a little bit of fouls in the first half, has 14 minutes, the same amount of minutes as true freshman Eli Rice. And Nebraska still won comfortably by 14 over a team in Ohio State that had was 9 games above 500.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And I think that one thing that I try to keep in mind of when, Keisei has one of those off nights, like with the against the Buckeyes, they had some physical, bigger guards that are kind of getting away with, being physical and grabbing and yanking Keisei, which the refs have seemed to allow this season, and that's fine. People need to adjust. But one thing that I keep in mind always if I see those 5-point performances is, Keisei's gravity on the basketball court is just so intense that he doesn't need to be on fire, and he doesn't need to be draining those really deep 3-pointers to have an effect on the offense and to help out his teammates. His gravity, just like, it's just the idea of Casey getting hot is enough for most defenses to, just tighten up on him defensively. And that in turn opens up other areas for his teammates to work. And I think, that's a product of what he did last year. And that's a product of him being so popular and everybody kind of knowing who Casey Tominaga is. Every single time Nebraska steps on the court, the opposing team is going to have a game plan to shut him down. And that's fine. But again, like you said, Nick, Casey doesn't really need to be scoring 20 or 30 points each night for defenses to have a game plan against him, because defenses are always going to have a game plan against him. And it doesn't matter if he's hitting them or not. Just him being on the floor alone kind of creates more room for his teammates. And I think that's kind of what we're seeing here, especially in those kind of low scoring games that Casey's had.
Well, and we saw it last night. A perfect example was Nebraska started out cold from beyond the 3-point line. I think they missed their first couple from three, except Josiah Alec, I think, actually hit one, But Nebraska was down 22-13 at one point. And you saw whenever K-State touched the ball, they swarmed to him, which makes it, and correct me if I'm wrong here, Steve, makes it just so much more important and crucial that Rink Mass, maybe not on to the tune of 6 of 8 from beyond the arc, but Rink Mass is just as important to hit a couple 3-point shots just to keep the defense honest.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if your 5-man, which Rink is playing right now for the Huskers, if your 5-man is stepping out and hitting those top of the arc threes, and I know he hit that step back 3 on the near the corner there. I don't know how many times he's going to be shooting that. He told us after the game that he didn't want to shoot that. He just kind of did, which was hilarious. Then it just like swished and everything.
Mm-hmm.
When you're on, you're on. But yeah, you're absolutely right. When your 5-man is stepping out and knocking down those trays, I mean, it just messes with the defense so much. And again, they're going to try to adjust, and that in turn is going to open up some other things inside the arc too. So yeah, I mean, Rink Mass being able to show that part of his game is really going to mess with defenses moving forward, I think.
All right, Steve, last one before we let you go, and it's not necessarily basketball related. It is, I guess, Husker football related to an extent. We've seen time and time again at Pinnacle Bank Arena, Dylan Raiola sitting courtside, and last night he was parked in between John Cook and Jalen Reyes. Can you, off the top of your head, and I know I'm putting you on the spot here, think of a high school or / college quarterback that has gotten the notoriety and publicity to the amount that Dylan Raiola has in just before even taking a college snap?
So off the top of my head, no, I can't think of a name. And I'm going to throw it out here. It's not going to be accurate. It's not coming close to what Dylan Raiola is right now. But so Taylor Martinez, when he had his first year and he was getting some Heisman buzz as a freshman. Do you remember that? Is that sort of comparable? I mean,
I
that's
think
the
so.
first name that kind of comes off the top of my head is, early Taylor Martinez when he was getting that Heisman buzz. But again, I don't think that even comes close to what Dylan has right now. I mean, not even playing, one game in college yet.
You could, what the name I brought just to keep a Nebraska focus on it was Adrian, just because it was a highly rated recruit. In that time, it was Scott Frost's, prize recruit at that moment in that class. It was a guy that was supposed to go to an SEC school or planning to go to Tennessee, makes this decision, changes it up, and had a lot of hype around him. But it was nowhere even close to the level that we're seeing Dylan Raiola have right now.
I totally agree with you. There's nothing that really comes close to, I think, Dylan's stardom here in the Nebraska fan base. It's really something to behold. I mean, he hasn't taken a snap of college football yet, not even spring ball yet.
No.
And people are coming out with just the expectations are going to be so incredibly heavy on this kid's shoulders. But the good thing about it is, we all know his backstory. We know how he grew up in NFL locker rooms. He knows how to handle all this. At least I think he does. I hope he does, because if he doesn't, it could go down. You could turn south quick. But just from everything I've read about him, watched about him, I think he knows how to handle his stardom, and he knows what it means for him to be here specifically. So I think he's got a good head on his shoulders.
Yeah, it's remarkable because I want to make it clear, like, this isn't a negative association with him. That's not what I'm trying to make.
Oh, no,
what I'm saying is, like, last night. So, for example, last night he was sitting with the volleyball team in just the general public area, and so many people were surrounding him, taking photos, asking for pictures, that security had to escort him down. We've seen him sitting with Trev Alberts. It's just like this guy, before even taking a snap, he's been on campus less than a month, and the guy can't be in a public setting without people freaking out. And it's not a bad thing as long as there's expectation that he lives up to, and I guess realistic expectation, because as you said, Steve, it could go south quick. And I think nobody wants to see that, not for Nebraska's sake, and especially not for Dylan's sake.
No, I mean, yeah, I mean, like we said, the expectations, I hope that the fan base is going to have realistic expectations for him.
No way.
Yeah.
He's eighth in Heisman
right,
voting.
Absolutely. It's just wild to kind of watch this whole thing play out. But yeah, I'm just wondering what happens next. Like, where does he show up next that, something like the governor of Nebraska would do or something like that,
Hey, Steve, he's eighth in Heisman voting in the preseason, 100 to 1 odds. I saw Brett McMurphy tweet out. So there you go.
I love it.
Realistic expectations. All right, Steve. Hey, appreciate you setting some time aside. Good to chat with you as always, man. We'll talk to you soon.
Yep, you too, Nick. Yeah.
There he is. Steve Mark, Inside Nebraska. Appreciate his time as always. No, I just thought about that last night, though, Austin, as we bring it back in. It's just like we've never seen, and I wasn't around necessarily when Tommy Frazier was here, and I don't want to put this like, well, people will come out through the rafters and be like, oh, come on, Nick, you're being ridiculous, or you can't compare him to Tommy Frazier when he hasn't taken a snap. So I'm not saying take the football on the field aside from it. It's insane to see. Every single game. It's great that he's there, but he's sitting courtside in between two Nebraska legends last night.
Right. The thing that stands out to me is just everything that had to come together. It's really the perfect storm in a lot of ways to create the celebrity aura of Dylan Raiola. We've seen plenty of former players' sons come to Nebraska. Seen plenty of quarterbacks come to Nebraska. Not a lot of former players have sons who play quarterback.
That's also,
not only that, but I don't know if Tommy Frazier would have reached these heights because Nebraska was still at least successful. I know there were people that were upset with Osborne, can't win the big one, yada, yada, yada. We've been down that road before. But given the lack of success Nebraska has had, I don't know if they're outside of Scott Frost in his return has ever been someone associated with Husker football in that kind of super mega star celebrity, almost savior-esque role, which has nothing to do with the football itself. It's just like, hey, this is it. He's the one.
And not to mention that he was the number one quarterback in the entire country. There's like, if it was a 3-star guy legacy,
heck, even just Daniel Kalen.
Here's this also. Sebastian texts this in, says, you all build this unproven kid up. What are you going to do next when and if he falls? It's all in his name. And that's kind of exactly what we're talking about. That's exactly my point. You just made my point for us, is that we are sitting here, everybody is all sitting here, and I'm just stating facts. That's all it is there's never been a situation like this in the history of Nebraska.
And there might never be again.
No.
Right? This is a big crossroads for not only Dylan Raiola, but this entire football program. Like, what we are seeing feels unprecedented. And I don't think it's
2.5, 3 weeks in.
Right. And I don't think it's hyperbole to say it's unprecedented. And we might never see it again.
No.
Or at the very least, it might take a long time before we get something like this ever at Nebraska. And I think it hits different in Nebraska too.
Yes.
Right. That is essentially Nebraska's celebrity row. You see those tweets from the Lakers or the Knicks or the Super Bowl rundown, Leonardo DiCaprio sitting in the box, whatever, Taylor Swift, whatever.
Spike Lee.
Like, you get that other places.
Yes.
Even like, USC stars will stop by.
Yep.
This is Lincoln, Nebraska. This is the closest thing that like Nebraska has to a celebrity, because I'm sorry, like Larry the Cable Guy, friend of the station.
We love him. Dan. Yeah.
Doesn't hit the same. As, hey, here's this former number 1 overall prospect who has the key card to get in the club.
Yes.
Given his bloodlines. Andy's here and he wants to be here. That is Nebraska Celebrity Row right there.
It is. And last thing I will say, just to reiterate, not that I necessarily need to do this, but there's a very specific reason, and I worded it very specifically when I was talking to Steve about, for Nebraska's sake, but most importantly for Dylan's sake. I hope that there's expectation that he's able to live up to, right? That he is able to. We know the talents there. Once again, I'm saying take it off the football field. I, for Dylan's sake, do not want him in that situation to where Nebraska fans not turn, but do a complete 180 when 3 weeks in, here we are treating him like king. And that's fine. I'm fine if you want to. I don't have an issue with it. I don't really have an opinion on it either. I don't care about the pictures. I don't care about any of that. I'm just stating a fact that we've never seen anything like this. And for Dylan's sake, I really hope that he's able to live up to it. And part of that is that the team is able to live up to it.
Oh, absolutely. And obviously he'll be a big part of that. But I think how people view the Dylan Raiola tenure and legacy at Nebraska is all about how they view him coming in. If he's program changer, playoff, or bust, and Nebraska never gets there, there can be a lot of people who are like, oh, we didn't live up to it. Why are we recruiting these guys? We can spend our money better elsewhere. But if Dylan Raiola, handles himself well on a day-to-day basis, is a solid representative of the program, and the team improves, say he's a mid-round draft pick.
Yeah.
Like, I think there are a lot of people that are going to say he did his job. He got Nebraska back on the right track. It was worth every second of attention we paid and every penny we spent into getting him here.
Exactly. And Corey makes an interesting question on here. Do you guys think it would be different at all if it was the number one wide receiver in the country instead of quarterback? And that's certainly, I think the quarterback element plays a part in it. I think there's a lot of factors that play a part in it, right? Where we talked about it, the name, the notoriety going into college, probably his recruiting cycle in general, probably built it up a little bit in the dramatic fashion that it was. If Dylan would have been committed and ended up signing, but if he would have committed back after he decommitted from Ohio State and the whole Georgia thing would have never happened, it probably would be a little lesser. But it just feels like over these last, so December 15th was the day that I think we found out that, hey, this is going to happen. Maybe not publicly, but we found out, hey, this is going to happen. We're just a month and 9 days past that point, and it just feels like a rush. I'm saying for like the city of Lincoln, the fan base at these events, it's just like a rush of Dylan Raiola juice, and nobody can get enough of it. Nobody can get enough. But if it would have been stretched out,
if it had been Jeremiah Smith, I'm still pretty hype.
You're still pretty hype if you're the number one wide receiver. But I think there's a lot of factors, including the quarterback element, that frankly, with his size, he's pretty easy to spot out too.
Right,
it's pretty easy to spot out. So let's take a break. When we return, we'll have the crossover, get you ready for On the Block with Strick and Austin coming up next. You're listening to the Happy Hour, 93.7 The Ticket.
Download our app by searching 93.7 The Ticket in your app store to stay in touch and listen all day long wherever you are. More of the Happy Hour is next on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
It's Pro Time Nebraska. The Omaha Supernovas, your Major League Volleyball team, is playing in the first ever Pro Volleyball Federation match on January 24th against the Atlanta Vibe at the CHI Health Center. Be a part of history and visit supernovas.com to secure your single match tickets today.
Okay, it's time to sell the house. How do we even begin to choose from the hundreds of realtors in town?
Easy. We make a pros list.
You mean a pros and cons list?
No, just a pros list. We need someone with pro photography to showcase the house in the best possible way, pro marketing to make sure we get maximum exposure, pro negotiations so we know we get the best price.
This is one of those times where you already know the right answer, isn't it?
You know it is. Ben Bleicher and Professional Realty Group.
Contact Ben Bleicher and the team at Professional Realty Group of Berkshire Hathaway's Home Services Ambassador. Online at prg-ne.com.
My dream was to work in commercial banking, but it required a college degree and I didn't have one. I found out that Doane had classes for adult learners on the Lincoln campus and online. So I earned my bachelor's degree, and 5 months later, I landed my dream job. I decided to continue my education, and now I'm working on my MBA at Doane. For me, the Doane experience has been life-changing.
Make plans to stop by the Rock Creek Renegades Gun Show this Friday through Sunday at the Sandhills Global Event Center. The show will feature guns, ammo, and supplies for shooting enthusiasts. Admission is $8 per person with concessions available. Hours are 5 to 8 p.m. on Friday, 9 to 5 on Saturday, and 9 to 3 on Sunday. Located in the Currency Pavilion. It's the Rock Creek Renegades Gun Show from January 26th to the 28th at the Sandhills Global Event Center at 84th and Havelock.
Problem gambling affects millions of Americans daily, of all ages and walks of life. If your loved one is struggling with addiction, contact Choices Treatment Center's 24-hour helpline at 402-476-2300. That's 402-476-2300.
At Southeast Community College, community is our middle name. Our continuing education classes offer personal interest, traffic safety and licensing, online learning, and adult education classes across Southeast Nebraska, or online in your own home. Learn pottery or floral design, take a computer course, learn Spanish, how to start writing a book, or Air Fryer 101. See the full schedule of continuing education classes online at southeast.edu/continuing. SCC, your path to possible.
People always ask, what are Jake and Sip like when they're off the air? Well, the answer probably won't surprise you.
Hey, Jake, your Honda's looking a little dirty.
Says the guy whose license plate is barely visible.
I mean, do you even care about that thing anymore?
It gets a little uncomfortable. Now, that's when I jump in.
Hey, whoa. Mark, did you get a new car?
Nope, just took my car down to Nebraska Auto Detail. Joe and the staff made the outside and the inside look amazing. Maybe you guys need to go. Okay, wise guy.
Settle down, Jake.
Book your appointment today at NebraskaAutoDetail.com.
93.7 The Ticket is proud to provide listeners with daily opportunities to win contests and prizes on our airwaves, and would like to take this opportunity to remind you of a couple rules. All participants must be 21 or older and must wait 30 days after winning a prize before participating in another contest. Once you win, you have 30 days to pick up your prize at the K&TK Studios, 1040 O Street in Lincoln, or your prize will be forfeited. Thank you for participating in our contest, and thank you for listening to 93.7 The Ticket. Working at Continental in Lincoln isn't a job, it's a career. And right now, they've raised wages again, and they're hiring for production operators at $24.62 per hour, which grows to $28.97 per hour within 3 years. Skilled trade positions now start at $33.36 per hour, with opportunities to make more based on certifications. Continental also has salary jobs available and great benefits, plus medical and prescription costs at very low premiums. Dental, vision, and life insurance are offered at no premium cost to the associates, with increased bonuses and vacation for new hires. To learn more or apply, go to continentaljobs.com with keyword Lincoln. Come work at Continental today.
This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at theticketfm.com.
On the internet.
KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket.
Problem gambling affects millions of Americans daily, of all ages and walks of life. If your loved one is struggling with addiction, contact Choices Treatment Center's 24-hour helpline at 402-476-2300. That's 402-476-2300.
Landmark Implement, your local John Deere dealer, is hosting their annual sprayer clinic at the Buffalo County Fairgrounds in Kearney, Nebraska, January 31st through February 1st. Landmark Sprayer Clinic offers expansive equipment and technology training on John Deere and Hagie sprayers. Learn about the newest technology, machine maintenance, spray tip selection, exact apply sprayers, and more. Free dicamba certification will be available. Join Landmark at their sprayer clinic January 31st and February 1st in Kearney. Find more information at landmarkimp.com/events.
On the block with Strick and Austin.
If Ewers throws that ball to the front pylon, Texas might have tied that game up and had a chance to win it.
That moment right there, it's one of those moments that every young man dreams about. There's two outcomes in that moment. You're a gamer or you tense up.
You're a gamer, you're a goner.
Or you're a goner.
Weekdays from 2 to 4 on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. You're listening to The Happy Hour with Nick Sainert.
This is a house of learned doctors.
And Enrique Alvarez Clary.
As soon as your eyes shut, I'm going to punch you square in the face.
On 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
What's up? We're back on the Happy Hour, 93.7 The Ticket, theticketfm.com. Nick and Austin with you. All right, Austin, I haven't been able to get your thoughts on Husker Hoops and their victory last night. The show has flown by. I feel like I've barely spoken. You've spoken even less than I have, and Rico spoke even less than we have. So Huge thanks to Emily Ehman for joining us in the first segment. Thanks to Steve Marik of Inside Nebraska for joining us in the second segment. And now it's just me and Austin here. Sorry to let you down, but in reality, we're not letting anybody down because we're the coolest people in the world.
Amen.
So, Austin, what are your just overall thoughts before we hand it off to you and Stricky? Overall thoughts on Husker hoops and their victory last night against the Buckeyes?
Necessary. Found a way to kick a team while they were down.
Yeah.
In the rink mastiest way possible. Like, that was incredible. That's a game I'm bummed I wasn't able to go to, because experiencing everything that Rink Mast was doing seems like it would have been absolutely electric in person. So I'm a little jealous that I wasn't able to be there. But a necessary win, and a game that I think Nebraska needed, not just to put in the win column, but the way they did it. You look at the final margin, it's a 14-point game. Like, okay, Nebraska was pretty much in control all game. They got hairy a couple times, especially in the second half, where Nebraska would get up close to double digits. Ohio State would make a little bit of a run, but you got the clutch back-to-back threes from C.J. Wilcher. You got Mass doing his thing. Bryce Williams played pretty well. So I don't think this is a game that felt like a 14-point Nebraska's in control cruising through the end for a long time. But the final result, a 14-point road win, that's a little bit of style points.
Yeah.
This is a game that very easily could have been decided by, 5-6 points. It's kind of like Northwestern. It's still a good win because you took care of business at home against a solid team that was, like Steve was mentioning, top 40, top 50 in the net rankings. But instead, you find a way to make this game that's back and forth, that's being played within a couple possessions, into a laugher and a snooze fest at the end. That there's really no doubt about the outcome for the last 5.5, 6 minutes of the game, probably.
Well, and at the under 4-minute media timeout, Nebraska was up by 14. So I think another thing I'll say, you brought in to reference the Northwestern game. Is it wrong of me to say growth? Last night showed growth, and here's why, is because, and we continue to see examples of this, and the reason why I bring this up is, like, when Nebraska's lost, when Nebraska loses games, they've responded relatively well. Maybe not in the fashion when they win games. Maybe they sometimes don't respond too well. But whenever Nebraska's lost games, or it looks like, this could be a bad streak starting up, they usually right the ship. And we've seen it this year with Creighton and Minnesota. They come back and they beat a Michigan State team comfortably at home, and they beat Kansas State on the road. Then we saw it after Rutgers and after Iowa. They come back, they beat a pretty talented Northwestern team that's on a similar playing field with them. They beat them by 6. But they should have probably beat them by double digits, but they got the win, right? Well, so now there was a moment, I should say, that they were up by double digits, and you said, okay, they could win by 10, 11, maybe 9.
I think 6 makes sense as the margin, but it should have been Northwestern got a couple cheap buckets late.
At the end, yes, it was the fashion. Well, then we have last night to where, and it certainly helps Rink Mast and his explosion in the second half, especially from beyond the arc. But there was a moment where it's like 5-6 minutes left in the game. Nebraska's up, I think, 16. And you're sitting there like, okay, I'm not too concerned about this. And yes, the end score is 83-69, and Nebraska wins comfortably by 14 points. But once again, looking deeper in the fashion, it was not really in question inside the under 8-minute media timeout.
I will say it's a step forward, and I'm not going to say it's growth, because this team is still a little up and down for me. It was definitely an improvement from Iowa and Rutgers. It definitely looked better than Northwestern. Like, Nick, I will put this performance for Nebraska probably as a top 3 performance this year. It was incredible. Purdue win, obviously. Michigan State was still some of the highest level basketball I've ever witnessed in person. And then this game, Nebraska, even though they did get down a little bit early, you felt pretty good over the last 30 minutes. Like, hey, Nebraska's here. They're playing pretty well. This is a step in the right direction, but growth to me is not letting this game be the exception. Make Northwestern into the exception, right? Where, yes, Nebraska got up double digits against Rutgers, didn't close. Nebraska got up double digits against Northwestern, barely closed. So if you look at the last 3 games, you see the progression, but now the standard for Nebraska has to be the Ohio State game.
I agree.
It has to be, whether you're at home or on the road. I'm not saying Nebraska has to win every game by 14 points and make them all look pretty. But
They
that
win by
level of
8, I'm
effort
disappointed.
on the rebounding margin, this is not an Ohio State team was top 50 in the country in offensive rebounding, really solid defensive rebounding team too.
And when Zed Key entered the game, it looked like he was going to give them fits for the second year in a row.
Third or fourth year in a row. Like
third or
Zed
fourth,
Key has just torn Nebraska up, not doing anything special, just wanting it more, being in better position.
Yep.
So it's a step in the right direction, but this has to be the standard that Nebraska operates from moving forward for me to say it's for sure growth.
I understand that. I would also add in there that I was looking big picture here before we get out of here. Looking big picture, everybody kind of gets so infatuated and interested with the quad 1, quad 2, quad 3 wins. Now, after last night's game against Ohio State, Nebraska, how about this for quad 3 and 4 record? 11-0. That has not been the case. They're 3-3 against quad 1. I don't remember their record against quad 2, but they're 11-0 against quad 3 and quad 4 combined. That's huge. That's monumental because in years past, it hasn't been that. It's been you've dropped to maybe 3 to the quad 3 and quad 4 schools. That can't happen if Nebraska wants to be an NCAA tournament team. And to this point, it hasn't. Nebraska's going to have an opportunity against a Michigan in the future to where, hey, guess what? I wanted to ask Steve this, but I'll have this conversation with you. Looking on the schedule here, one of the most important games is the one at Michigan. It's one of the most important games on this schedule because for a multitude of reasons, right? That's going to be one of those where Nebraska has to once again win on the road. But if you go to Michigan, a team that's in last place in the Big Ten Conference right now under Juwan Howard, they don't have Hunter Dickinson anymore. He's off at Kansas. They had fool's gold with Caleb Love after he was like, I'm going to come there from North Carolina, then swooped out and went to Arizona, where, by the way, he's averaging 19 a game for the Wildcats, who's a top 10 team. But this is a struggling Michigan team. So, yes, it's a few games away, but that Michigan game on the road in Ann Arbor is just as important as any other one because that's a resume killer.
And I think that's the last game of the year. So I think you have Rutgers before that. So I sent you and Rico this tweet last night that I think is worth referencing. One of the bracketology people, not one of the big name ones, but a guy who still studies it, brings up a good point that the majority of the games Nebraska has left are in quad 3. Nebraska, I feel more than confident saying, is going to lose a couple more games.
Yeah.
But which games are they going to lose and how are they going to lose them? Right. It wouldn't shock me if Nebraska ends up with a loss or 2 in quad 3, but that puts that much more importance on Wisconsin and Illinois.
Yeah.
Right. Puts that much more importance on Maryland. Next game in the schedule, who's been beat at home a couple times already, like Steve was saying. So Nebraska, it bears repeating, Nebraska doesn't have a lot of opportunities to raise its profile and resume, but there's still a lot of potholes out there that could sink Nebraska. So avoid as many of them as possible. And if you're going to hit a pothole, make sure it's a shallow one.
Yeah, exactly. Because Nebraska, as we know, just as a program, they never have a lot of margin for error, a wide margin for error. It's always slim. And there's nothing different this year, although they've been able to continuously and consistently beat these teams that still are 6, 7, 8 games above 500, which is something to certainly hang your hat on. All right, Austin, what's coming up on the show today really quickly?
Loaded. Jen Spiker of the Pro Volleyball Federation, Evan Bland, all in hour 1. Then Stricky and I will go through the Husker basketball game in the Big Ten standings. And Team USA announced its 41-player pool, so Stricky and I are drafting our Team USA teams.
There it is. Don't go anywhere on the block with Strick and Austin coming up in just a few moments. Thanks again, Emily Ehman of the Big Ten Network, Fox Sports, for joining us in the first segment. Steve Marik of Inside Nebraska in the second segment. And obviously Austin filling in for Rico while he's on the way to Omaha with DP. Talk to you guys tomorrow. See ya.
A team succeeds when they work together. Banking's no different. At UBT, we're in your corner for every financial move you want to make. Your money's backed by a roster of experts who put in the work to know you and your community. So whether you're opening a savings account, buying a home, or planning your future, you always know who to turn to. Working together toward your financial goals. That's a win in our playbook. Union Bank and Trust. Equal housing lender, member FDIC.
Problem gambling affects millions of Americans daily. of all ages and walks of life. If your loved one is struggling with addiction, contact Choices Treatment Center's 24-hour helpline at 402-476-2300. That's 402-476-2300.
At Southeast Community College, community is our middle name. Our continuing education classes offer personal interest, traffic safety and licensing, online learning, and adult education classes across Southeast Nebraska or online in your own home. Learn pottery or floral design, take a computer course, learn Spanish, how to start writing a book, or Air Fryer 101. See the full schedule of continuing education classes online at southeast.edu/continuing. SCC, your path to possible.
Landmark Implement, your local John Deere dealer, is hosting their annual sprayer clinic at the Buffalo County Fairgrounds in Kearney, Nebraska, January 31st through February 1st. Landmark Sprayer Clinic offers expansive equipment and technology training on John Deere and Hagie sprayers. Learn about the newest technology, machine maintenance, spray tip selection, exact apply sprayers, and more. Free dicamba certification will be available. Join Landmark at their sprayer clinic January 31st and February 1st in Kearney. Find more information at landmarkimp.com/events.
We wait all pro football season for the big game. But will you come out on top? Warhorse Festival of Games is putting you at the center of the action with 2 chances to win big. Earn entries for our $100,000 prop card challenge daily at Warhorse Casino Lincoln. Enjoy slots, sports wagering, and horse racing. Then make your picks about the big game to be eligible to win. Qualifying entries will also be put in the running for your share of the $20,000 grand prize drawing. Increase your luck for the drawing by playing free online games on the Festival of Games website. Skip the trip to Vegas and get in on the big game right here at Lincoln's favorite place to play. And if that's not enough, our $1 Million Bracket Challenge for college basketball is coming soon. Full details are online at warhorsecasino.com. Warhorse Casino Lincoln, just minutes from downtown at Highway